All right, so let's talk about the pen. As you've seen on my unboxing video, if you haven't, go check out the unboxing video because I talk about the magnets and everything. But just to kind of summarize, yes, it does have a magnetic type of hold, and the magnets are basically set up. I think it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 magnets around here, and that's pretty much it. You are supposed to use it only on this side. You're not supposed to hook it up anywhere else. However, if you're not using the flipbook cover, the flipbook cover helps because it kind of supports the pen quite a bit, and then it feels a little bit better. But if you're not using it, it's super easy to just go whoop, and then it goes down. Now, the story is even worse with the Remarkable pen because the magnets simply can't really hold, and then they go like this. Again, with the flipbook cover, it's better. But I've identified one thing that I want to try out, and I'm going to try that out later on, and that's the smoothness and the curvature of this surface. So if you notice, there's quite a bit of a curvature here, right? However, this pen is flat on the side, so you don't have that curvature at all. So what you have in effect is a very, very polished, smooth surface here, very, very polished, smooth surface here, and they're of course going to slide. So this Remarkable pen is not smooth, and it does have a bit of a curvature, but the magnets are, I think there's some magnets that are kind of moving it away or something like that, and that the polarity isn't really great. You can find an option here, but then one of the magnets is kind of pushing it away, and then you get this, yeah, so here. One of the magnets here is pushing it. So I can feel the resistance, and if I let it go, you can see that it's not gravity, it's just being pushed away by the polarity itself. So it's possible, this one definitely is pushing there. You can find some that actually work, and then it's a combination that's okay, but generally then it slips away or is being pushed out of the way. So what I plan to try and do is to increase the friction on this side by maybe adding a tiny silicone strip on the side and see if that helps keeping these things more kind of firmly connected. But definitely a negative point is the magnetic clamping of the pen, including the default one. I mean, the design is simply not refined, because if you have a curvature here, you need to have a curvature, equal curvature here, and not have two super smooth, shiny, low friction surfaces to be actually held together by magnets that are not strong enough. Definitely a weak point there. A second weak point is the whole new Boox pen itself. So for me, this doesn't work, and this is the main detractor as far as the writing experience goes for me and my personal own needs and sensitivities. I absolutely don't like this one at all. This is a little bit better quality than the default Boox, because it looks better and yeah, all that kind of stuff. But again, it's the same kind of bendy plastic. There's no refined materials. There's nothing fine about it. It's kind of hollow and it doesn't feel that great. The tip, as I've shown, is super hard plastic and super sharp. The positive side of it is that it's very, very precise. So you can definitely use this for super fine and super precise type of work. Then it works. So that is definitely a benefit of this pen, and it does have a use case scenario as far as I'm concerned. However, for a daily type of use in writing, I find it unpleasantly low friction. So it glides all over the place, and as a result, I have to press and hold it firmer and harder to try and control that slipperiness. And the end result is subpar writing experience with this pen, and fatigue in my wrist because I'm trying to control that slipperiness. None of that happens when I'm using a felt tip pen, and then everything is exactly as I would like it to, and then it really fits perfectly. So this pen redesigned, but doesn't work for me, not at all. One of the key questions is, are the nibs compatible? No, they are not. They are not compatible with this one. I can't just take it out and put it in. Yes, there is a hack and you can try it, but it involves shortening the Remarkable or a Boox tip or whatever, and filing it down at the opposite end to a conical point so that it can enter. However, I would advise strongly against that, because even when I managed to actually put the Remarkable 1 pen here perfectly, so it was perfectly shaped and everything was great, it's not designed for it. And what happened is, because I write a little bit harder by default, very shortly the nib itself broke off. Not the default one, it's the Remarkable 1 nib that I placed in. It got ruined because it simply broke after a couple of minutes of use. So definitely I don't recommend that. I think that you should get a different pen altogether that supports the nib types that you're interested in. As far as the general user interface and everything like that, I'm gonna do things a little bit differently, simply because the sheer number of devices that are coming out and that are using the same thing and that are doing the exact same thing, I don't want to repeat myself too much. So it's using the exact same V3 of the OS that has been covered on Max Lumi. So everything that you've seen in my review for Max Lumi, the navigation, the options, and all of that kind of stuff, it's all equally present on the Note Air, and it's going to be present on Note 3 and the Nova 3. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm going to focus on key specific areas that are of interest to people, such as split screen, how it works, how it shows the dimensions of it on the documentations, and other things that are specific to the device itself. And I'm going to create a separate series of videos which is going to be a guide to Boox platform, which can be applied as a guide on how to use all of these devices, including everything that runs on V3. So yeah, for now, just if you're interested into specifics, go and check out my Max Lumi review, where I go into quite a few specifics, or wait for the guide to actually come out. For now, I'm going to focus on the key things that are important. First and foremost, the most important new thing is the auto rotate. So this is the new thing that you have in Note Air. Unlike in other devices where you will only have this kind of rotation, we have auto rotation option on, and as I've shown, that then basically rotates everything around, with one note or a caveat being that it's not the case with the notepads. So for now, I'm not sure. Let me just go back a page to something that's kind of more normal. Yeah, so for the notebooks themselves, there is no way currently to rotate them. You can only flip them in the portrait mode, and I am not sure if there is a landscape mode or not at all. So that's something that I'm gonna ask and check, and if it's not present at the moment, then I'm gonna double check and see if it's something that they're working on or not. But currently, just so you know, the auto rotation does work, but the notebooks by themselves, by default, I don't think there is a landscape mode, dedicated landscape mode in here. That being said, you can always use a vertical lines type of template, hide the toolbar, and then it's going to be fine. So that, I think, is a workaround until a more elegant solution is done. Now, the next thing that's also, I think, very important for a lot of people to see is the split screen itself. First, I'm going to use the split screen in the in the reader itself. So let's just use a normal one. Again, let's do this one. And as usual, again, all of these things are going to be shown in the guide, or you can see them in Max Lumi. So I'm just going to go to split view, and I'm going to use current document and another document. And let's say this gigantic one, which is completed work of Carl Jung. This is, by the way, the thing that he just opened in such a short time. That was a 10,844 pages document. So yeah, that's how quick this thing is. And the auto rotation doesn't seem to be working in the split screen mode of the NeoReader itself, because my auto orientation is on, so auto rotate is on. But if I enter the split view and I open, the same thing as before, let's just use this. Then I get, well, now I got something unusual. I haven't seen this before. Well, okay. So I got a vertical split screen. All right, that's definitely interesting. Not what I intended, but definitely interesting. And now I can flip this around, or no. So I think that this is a bug. Most definitely. This feels like a little bit of a bug, and it's something that I'm going to report and that they can actually see. So let's see if it behaves a little bit less strange when I disable auto rotate. Right, so now when I've turned off the auto rotate, now it's behaving the way I would expect it to. So let's see if I can go to the same thing and get split view, current document and another document. It should flip. Yes, and now it flips. All right, so obviously it has some issues with the auto-rotate gyroscope. For now, I've turned it off and it seems to be working as expected. So this definitely works, and this is the normal type of thing. And I think that I can rotate, yes. Yes, so basically like this. I think that they're gonna issue a fix fairly soon, once they are made aware of this issue, that they're gonna integrate that the auto rotation actually affects the NeoReader's auto rotation as well. So for now it gets a little bit confused, but yeah, if you turn it off, then it works as predicted. All right, so here we have two separate documents open, and none of them are optimized for this type of display. And for me, they are both very, very readable, especially because I can always do the auto crop on both of them separately, and I can always format them separately. That's a huge thing. So these things definitely work for me, and I think that the added crispiness and clarity of the screen itself definitely helps. So for me and for my use case scenario, this definitely works, and it's not too small. Now, if your eyes are sensitive and you are not comfortable reading small formats, this is definitely something that you have to keep in mind. However, again, this is a highly individual type of situation, so you have to judge for yourself according to your own needs and limitations or conditions if this works for you or not. As a point of reference, here are my fingers and basically how this looks, so hopefully that helps. Another important thing to know is that, yeah, we have the split screen, system-wide split screen as well. So let's say that, for example, I want to run an app of some sort. Yeah, let's do Kindle. And note, the problems that I had with the Kindle and the dark theme, or any kind of dark themed app, is solved basically by long pressing an app, going to optimize and disabling this option, whiten app background. This is by default on pretty much everyone, and that's why you will have a problem. On Kobo, it's by default off. So the optimizations are not great, so be sure to actually double check that. And once you do, then the dark mode actually works, and then everything works as you would expect it to. So for example, here I am in Kindle. I'm gonna open this up, and yeah, it remembers that I am in black mode, and most importantly, when I enter the menu now, I have the icons and everything works as expected. But what I want to double check is the split screen mode, because now I can enter split screen mode. And here's the interesting part. This is something that I keep getting, but I don't know how to control it. So I've noticed this on Note Air. I am getting this vertical type of divide, which is great. And yeah, this definitely works. It's actually splitting the pages and seems to be working as you would expect it to. And on the bottom, I have this kind of stuff. So I could open a notebook, I guess. Let's just do a notebook. But it's not functioning that well. So this seems to me a little bit more like a bug, or that it's not fully optimized. It feels like it's not meant to do this, because the scaling of the icons and everything is just not working properly. Either way, whatever the case may be, this is a weird thing that I've kind of noticed that it happens from time to time. So if I now switch over here, and I am now in landscape mode again with the auto rotate on. And now let's try and get the split screen. So we enter the split screen. Now it divides properly. And this is something that I just kind of, and now you can add normal notebook, and now it behaves as you would expect it to. So it just occurred to me that it could be that the thing that causes this bug is the auto rotation, the same thing that actually caused the bug on the split screen mode of the NeoReader. So let's try that. So now I'm gonna turn off auto rotation, keep it as such, and now with auto rotation off, enter the split screen from the portrait mode. It should flip me around, and it does. All right. So, and now if I don't like it like this, I can go to rotate and orient it this way, and then I get exactly what I want. All right. So definitely the auto rotation gyro is not communicating nicely with the split screen modes. So hopefully that's something that they'll kind of fix, or maybe that was an indication that we might actually have a horizontally functioning split screen, which is something that people asked for. So yeah, we'll see how that develops. For now, that's a workaround. If you're getting this kind of issue and where you're using the split screen, just turn off the auto rotate for now. Or if you're coming from the future, double check if it behaves like this. Maybe it has already been fixed. Most likely it has already been fixed or improved with one of the updates. So yeah, just keep in mind that timelines and all that kind of stuff. But either way, now that I'm here, then I can just go into notes and I can write my notes as I normally would, and everything works the way I would like it to. So this is a really, really awesome thing to have, that I can have a split screen mode between different apps that I would like. Now, there's another thing that I would also like to show here. You'll notice that I'm using also the 3 added functions, so you can swipe up gestures. So swipe up in the middle is home, swipe right is back, and swipe left up is the multi-task manager. So those are super handy. They're in here from version 3, and that's something that I'm using all the time. One thing that I really want to double check and show to you guys is the resources and the amount of RAM. That's something that people ask. So I'm going to run CPU-Z here, and I'm going to go into the system. So by default, you'll see, let's clear everything up first. So I'm just going to clear all of the apps. So there we go. Everything is released. And I'm just gonna go into CPU-Z so that we just have CPU-Z running. And if I double check the device, we can see that we have 810 megabytes of free RAM. So now somebody might say, like, what the hell does that mean, that I can't load a file that's more than 800 megabytes? No, absolutely not, because memory management in Android 10 is really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up here, and I'm just gonna go now to let's say Spotify. And I don't want Spotify and YouTube algorithms to kind of flag the video and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna play something that I own, some of my own music. So I'm not plugging anything. And if you have a problem with that, well, whatever, it's your problem. So I'm just gonna play this, something that I own, so that I can proceed with the video normally. And the idea that I want to do here is, all right, so now it's playing. It's very, very quiet, but yeah, so you can hear. So now my Spotify is playing, and because it's a background process, it's just running in the background, right? So I'm gonna go to CPU-Z, and we have a little bit less of RAM here, which is expected. Now I'm gonna go into split screen, enter split screen. There we go. And now I'm gonna go into a reader, my reader, and I'm gonna open up that gigantic document, which is the collected works of Carl Gustav Jung. And okay, so we can hear the music is playing, and this one is 800 megabytes large document, so it shouldn't fit, right? Let's see. Not only does it open super quick, but you can notice that we still have 714 megabytes of free RAM. So it is able to handle these things really, really well. So most definitely it can multitask and do tons tons and tons of awesome things. So no, definitely not a problem. Let me pause the music here. So most definitely not a problem at all. And I was able to push and push and push this, and I never had a single issue. So I just wanted to show a very practical example of where you should run out of RAM, but it most definitely doesn't happen. So I think that unless you're doing something really, really hardcore, that you should be more than fine. Now, another super important and awesome aspect of the Note Air for me is that bezel that I talked about, and the fact that it has Bluetooth. So I'm just gonna enable Bluetooth. I'm gonna turn on the keyboard that I already paired with it. And let's see if it, yep, it already found it, it paired it, everything works as I want it to. And now I can just flip it, use the flipbook cover as it is now. So let's put it maybe like this. Yes, on the flipbook cover, I'm gonna put the keyboard here. Actually, I would prefer to use it a little bit back like this. Yeah, so this is my preferred way of using this. And yeah, let's turn on the auto rotation so that it flips the way I want it to. Auto rotate normally on. And yeah, that's it. So now I can just go into my Google Docs. So I'm just gonna open it up and then continue working on it as you normally would. And this, I think, is a gigantic thing to be able to do these things. So I'm going to switch to speed mode simply because it just lends itself a little bit better. I think that it works a bit better for my needs at least. And let's just scroll all the way down, and then yeah, it just works. Everything works as you would expect it to, and that's something that's a big deal for me. And don't forget, I'm working in a Google Docs, so everything that I do here is automatically saved and synced and usable from any other platform that has access to Google Docs. And I found myself actually starting to use and love this a lot, because the battery time is excellent, because it doesn't glow at me, because it's so small and flexible, because I can just go ahead and use this, basically the pen for navigation, and I can just use it to select text and all these kind of things. The pen input actually helps that that I can overcome the limitations that I normally find with Google Drive, for example, on a Android tablet. So this is something that I use a lot and is absolutely awesome. I love this. And finally, let's check out the USB OTG functionality. Now, I already know that with pretty much every device that I tried, this guy with Android devices, no matter which Android device I have, it doesn't do the HDMI, and I can't get the LAN to work with a phone or a tablet or any of the Boox devices anyway. So I think I'm gonna attribute that to this Unisync USB hub that I have. Possibly somebody has a recommendation of a USB hub that tried and tested works with Boox devices. If you do, please leave the comment in the bottom so that people can have it as a helpful thing. However, what this normally works is storage expansion. So when I plug it into here, I should get the light, and I do. So it did lit up, and now if I take a 32 gigabyte USB stick and stick it in, I should, yep, there we go, it's okay. It's automatically recognized it, and there we go. So we have SanDisk USB drive. I can go and explore it, and I can see now this is the contents of my USB drive. And not only that, if I go to storage itself on the here, then I also have the USB storage appears, and then I can use it like that. And the same thing works with the SD cards. On this one, micro SD doesn't work at all, so it's nothing to do with the device, it's the hub itself. The micro SD is dead, but the SD does work. However, all of my SD cards are currently formatted for the camera formats, and I don't want to reformat that and stuff like that. It just so you know, it works, and it works in exact same way as the USB does. I've tried on Max Lumi and everyone else, I tried the power pass-through, so let's check that here as well. First, I'm gonna try and plug in the power here, and I should get a power icon there. So now it's powering. So there we go, it's established and it is charging. So the link is established and definitely it is receiving power. However, what usually happens with this guy is that even though it says that it has power pass through, it kind of doesn't, because as soon as I plug this guy in, one of two things is going to happen. Either it's not going to get recognized, or it's going to get recognized and then the power is going to go off. And in this case, it looks like it's not getting recognized. So let's try again. Let's try a different port. Nope, still nothing. However, if I just unplug this, let's see, does it recognize it then? Or does it? Yeah. And then it recognizes it. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on. There we go, USB storage. And if this is perfectly normal, then it should disappear when I get power pass through, or it shouldn't start charging. Let's see. What do we get? Hey. Well, this is new. So let's see if I still have access to it. No, okay. So this was just old. He just kept the old setting. If I go here and go back to store, he has USB storage, but yeah. All right, so I tend to think that it's all due to this hub, that it's simply not working properly. But either way, in my case, I can't use power pass-through to charge the device and USB stick in there. I have to choose either or. But either way, I think it's very, very cool that I can expand the storage however I want, and I can maybe back up certain folders and everything into there. Now, I wouldn't do that from the native application here, simply because it doesn't allow you to select the folders themselves. Instead, I would use a dedicated file manager application of your choosing, something that you like. But the benefit is that now I'm in internal storage, right? And if I wanted to, I could just get all of my downloads, for example, and I can just say copy to, and I go all the way back, go onto my USB, and then I can just simply paste onto it. So these are really cool things that you can do, because that way I can manually back things up on my device and I don't have to rely on any cloud service or anything. So theoretically speaking, I can enjoy most of the stuff and most of the functionalities of this device while being offline, and that's a big deal. And that's something that I'm going to make a dedicated video on, to actually test out how far can you go and how much can you do things on different devices while staying completely offline and off the grid. I think that would be an interesting one to do. But either way, as far as I'm concerned, all of the functionalities of USB OTG are not there, but what is there is the most important one for me personally, which is the expansion of the storage and the ability to back my data up locally here, just the way I want it to.